race for re-election after mounting pressure from his own party. Only the second president in history to do so.
I think the president made a decision to put the country above himself, and that's something we should celebrate.
The delegation digs in. Team coverage with reaction from local lawmakers, and our political analyst Wendy Schiller brings us new insight.
And now it's all eyes on Harris, the VP, getting the president's endorsement, and now Democrats turn to her to beat Trump and possibly make history. A special edition of NBC 10 News at 6 starts right now.
NBC 10 News starts with breaking news.
That breaking news takes us to Washington, D.C., where President Joe Biden ends his run for president of the United States. He made the announcement in a letter posted to X, formerly known as Twitter. He says that he will speak to the nation about his decision later this week, but we did not see him or hear from him today. A bombshell announcement. President Biden giving into pressure from top Democrats to leave the race, but not the presidency, passing the torch to his vice president. Good evening. I'm Patrice Wood.
And I'm Dan Janik. It's nice to be with you on this Sunday night, an extraordinary time in history. Biden's letter also says that he plans to speak later in the week with more details about his decision. And now he and the DNC are supporting VP Kamala Harris. Harris said in a statement late today she will earn and win the nomination for president and beat Trump. Support is pouring in for her from the Democratic Party. The Clintons and a number of leading lawmakers have echoed their support for her. Notably, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama have not endorsed Kamala Harris, despite showing support for Biden's decision. We take you live now outside of the Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C. This is Vice President Harris's residence. Just yesterday, she was at a fundraiser in Provincetown, reportedly raising $2 million. Meanwhile, just a short while ago, Biden's campaign, Biden for President, has refiled with the Federal Elections Committee as Harris for president. And calls for President Biden to drop his presidential bid intensified after his first debate of the 2024 presidential cycle back on June 27th. It was not a good performance by President Biden, even by his own admission. He said that he was recovering from a cold at the time, but since then, he could not shake off criticism that he was too frail to serve. So tonight we're hearing from our local congressional delegation about Biden bowing out and the VP taking center stage. It is a scramble in the Democratic Party as they try to rebuild their lineup for president and vice president. Our team coverage continues now with NBC 10's Sam Reed, and I would expect local Democrats are towing the party line, Sam.
Yeah, Dan, Patrice, almost everyone I spoke with tonight says they weren't shocked to hear that President Biden is no longer running for re-election, but now this changes the game.
On Sunday afternoon, on the heels of the Republican convention, President Biden, who currently has COVID, announces he's dropping out of the presidential race.
So all of that momentum that the GOP has coming out of a good convention might be thwarted because now the attention will be on who the nominee will be, who the vice presidential nominee could be, and whether the Democrats will be in chaos or will they'll, really coalesce against a new team.
Taking to X, formerly known as Twitter, Biden endorses Vice President Kamala Harris to be the nominee, something political analyst Wendy Schiller says will be a process.
She can't just step in. The convention, these delegates have to be legally reallocated.
Rhode Island Congressman Gabe Amo says Harris has his vote.
And I, too, endorse the vice president for the Democratic Party's nomination.
Amo worked in the White House on the Biden-Harris campaign in January of 2020 before resigning last year to run for Congress in Rhode Island.
I think the president made a decision to put the country above himself.
He decided that he was no longer the best candidate to beat Donald Trump, as he had been in 2020.
Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss represents parts of Bristol County, and he agrees.
I'm endorsing her as a superdelegate to the convention. And I think that as a career prosecutor, she is well positioned to take on a convicted felon.
Who will punch the ticket is unknown, but time is ticking. A clock that Democrats are hopeful won't run out.
Come Labor Day, when those swing state voters are making their final decisions, the Democrats are going to be rolling and rollicking behind the top of our ticket.
Now, lots of reaction pouring in on social media tonight. Let's get to it. Sheldon Whitehouse saying President Biden's legacy will be his grace, effectiveness, and patriotism. Governor Dan McKee also weighing in. He says President Biden made a selfless and noble decision. Also tonight, Providence Mayor Brett Smiley says President Biden has dedicated his life to bettering our country, and he thanks him for his extraordinary service. Obviously, lots to unpack here. We'll have much more reaction coming up tonight at 11. Live in the studio, Sam Reed, NBC 10 News.
All right, Sam, thanks for your coverage. Also, former President Donald Trump on Truth Social says President Biden is not fit to run for president and is not fit to serve. The Republican nominee for president claimed Biden only won in 2020, quote, by lies, fake news, and not leaving his basement. Trump says he'll fix the damage the Biden administration did. Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, called for Biden to step down immediately.
Republican lawmakers are also calling for President Biden to resign from office. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says if President Biden isn't fit to run, he isn't fit to serve as president. And he slammed the Democratic Party, saying that they forced President Biden off the ballot, and in doing that, invalidated votes from the primary election. The news today has everyone talking and sounding off.
Certainly does. We wanted to hear from viewers like yourself. Team 10 coverage continues now with NBC 10's Erin Coogan. She's live in Providence. Erin?
Yeah, guys, well, more unprecedented times in American political history, but a pretty mixed bag of reaction tonight. Some say this decision is going to be a complete game changer, while others say it's not going to sway the results come November.
It's kind of like a little stressful on the sense of not knowing where we're going at this point.
With just 1 month until the upcoming Democratic National Convention, President Joe Biden has officially pulled his bid for re-election.
He slowly wore down. And I think having COVID this time just put him over the edge.
The announcement sparking mixed reaction from Rhode Islanders.
The debate, I think, really left people not just underwhelmed, but also really concerned. And I think it was really hard to recover.
He can't put a sentence together anymore. It's like he doesn't know what he's saying, and he falls asleep.
It's time for a new generation of leadership for this country, so I'm excited for that.
Coming as a surprise to some, others say it was just a matter of time.
I kind of figured it was coming with all of the news that's kind of been around with how he's doing it. It seemed inevitable.
The decision follows growing pressure from within the Democratic Party.
And I think we have to put the country first and then the party first. And so I think he's an adult, and I think he really cares about something much greater than himself.
President Biden now endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris. Rhode Island residents admitting they're unsure of the impact she would make come November.
I mean, I think she'll compete with integrity and honesty and transparency, which is what I want in a leader. I think she cares about the country more than she cares about herself.
I struggle with the idea of whether this country is ready for a woman to run it. Bottom line. I wish her well. It would be an interesting turn. Maybe we need that type of change. I would be very interested in seeing how something different could kind of benefit and shake things up. Unfortunately, I don't believe it'll happen.
And those we spoke to agree what Americans need is a fit president, and inevitably that decision is going to come down to the polls. Live in Providence, Erin Coogan, NBC 10 News.